Hello, this is the tradesight Forex Market Preview and International Economic Data Roadmap for the week beginning Sunday, the 27th of July, 2014, and ending Friday, August 1st. Hope you had a good trading week. Here's a look at the dollar index. For once, well, a couple things to talk about. First of all, we are now, if I shove this into projection mode, you'll hear a sound. 9 bars up for a startup phase with our tool, which means possibly a point of pause. It's a little unfortunate because we finally look like we might be gaining some momentum and get a breakout above that 8150 area that we've been stuck in for almost a year. That would be a positive if that were to happen soon. So hopefully we can get there. We don't just stall out here near the high of the range once again and go nowhere. So we did make a little progress this week on the dollar index. Let's take a look at some of our key pairs. We'll take a look at the intra-week action, and then we'll look at the economic news coming out this week and try to figure out what we're going to need to dodge. Here's a look at the euro. Also drifting near the lows of the last year. Boy, 500 pip range for 10 months on this thing. That is amazing, to say the least. Here's a look at the pound yen. This has been narrower. Look at the bars here, really narrow this last month each day, and rolling over as the dollar gets stronger, of course. Here's a look at the Aussie dollar, been dead flat. Here's a look at the New Zealand dollar, lost some ground this week, also 9 bars down, heading towards that red static trend line. And here's the pound yen, which has done nothing for a while. Amazing how flat the Forex market has been. All right, let's take a quick look at the intra-week action. This is 30-minute bars. We'll go through the various pairs and see how much range they traded for the week. Remember, traditionally, the euro dollar trades about 130 pips per day. Now, we haven't seen that in a while. It's been very slow. That's why we're half size. But this week, we traded, and if you look at it, basically 34.20 as the low, 35.50 as a high, 130 pips for the whole week. And boy, look at that Tuesday through Thursday action. Barely traded 50 pips over 3 days. It was the one move down Monday and then again on Friday. Other than that, not much action to go off of. Here's a look at the pound dollar for the week. Traded about 130, 140 pips as well. So really poor action. We did have some winners this week. We had a session or two with nothing actually triggered because the ranges were so bad. You know, there's nothing to do but try to grind out some small stuff until this market starts moving again. Hopefully, and at some point it obviously will. It's definitely been a while. All right, let's take a look at the data coming out this week, get ourselves prepared. No data Sunday night. Start out the week with the pending home sales and flash services PMI data here in the U.S. early in the morning. Japan household spending and unemployment rate, that's at 7 p.m., 7:30 p.m. Monday night here in the U.S., and then retail sales right after it. So really no data almost from anywhere in Europe or anywhere to start the week. Going to Tuesday, German import prices out of the UK. You've got money supply data and mortgages. US has got the S&P Composite 20 HPI number. We've got the CB Consumer Confidence number. That can be fun for stocks. Not usually a big deal for Forex. Building consensus out of New Zealand. Preliminary industrial production out of Japan. UBS consumption indicator out of Switzerland. German preliminary CPI out of Europe. Spanish flash CPI and Spanish flash GDP. Also, the Italian 10-year bond auction. Up to this point, nothing very exciting, obviously. ADP non-farm employment change data here in the U.S. Wednesday morning. Canada's RMPI and IPPI. The big one here is a once-a-quarter number. It's one of the big numbers that we have to be aware of. The first look at GDP for the second quarter here in the U.S. comes out 8:30 a.m. on Wednesday. So that's a big number. You want to be less. It usually causes a spike, an almost untradeable spike in the market, depending on how far off or ahead the number comes in. So we'll definitely be lower our size ahead of that night. And on top of it, we've got a 2-day Fed meeting this week. So Tuesday and then Wednesday, you can see the Fed announcement at 2 p.m. Eastern. So that's going to be a strange day. It's going to be flat overnight. You're going to have probably a spike on the GDP, and then everybody just sits and waits for the Fed, who will probably do nothing new as well. Then that night, we've got consumer confidence out of the UK, building approvals, import prices, private sector credit out of Australia. Going into Thursday, housing starts out of Japan, German retail sales, UK nationwide HPI. Europe, we've got French consumer spending, German unemployment, Italian unemployment, CPI out of all of Europe, unemployment rate out of Europe, Italian preliminary CPI. Canada's GDP here in the U.S., or here in the U.S. session, and the weekly unemployment data here out of the United States. Chicago PMI right after that, natty gas to follow. AIG Manufacturing Index out of Australia, Manufacturing PMI out of China, PPI out of Australia, final Manufacturing PMI out of Japan, Bank of Japan's governor speaking, and then on Friday we've got a holiday out of Switzerland. We've got commodity prices at 2:30 a.m. out of Australia. We've got all the manufacturing PMI data out of the various European countries and the broad European number, as well as the UK number for that. And then in the US, we've got non-farm payroll data with the unemployment data, along with personal income and spending, final manufacturing PMI, revised look at University of Michigan sentiment, and then, well, this is a lot of data Friday morning. Construction spending and ISM data along with vehicle sales later on in the session. That is a lot of data on Friday. And by the way, that unemployment non-farm payroll number, that is another one of our big three each month that we go less than half size ahead of. Get yourself out of the way of that risk of the spike on that data. So both going into Wednesday and going into Friday, we've got some big data that we got to be worried about, and then hopefully get some movement in the market outside of that. That's it. We'll be in the lab calling it as usual. If you find this video useful, please like us on YouTube. Have a great trading week.